I wonder how much a rare candy would go for.
No! No! Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Thank you, thank you. Revive me, revive me, revive me.
What the
What? What happened?
Oh, he sniped me!
Woo! Oh wait. Oh my head! My head!
Oh, righty. Well, sorry I am actually late. I was actually watching a couple of things on today's topic. I was gonna get on at 17 minutes ago, and then I got into, you know how sometimes it goes where you start going and you start live. Some of us we go and we start live streaming, and then, um, okay. I gotta click on my live. Thank you, thank you. Okay. Well, I do this sometimes where I know I'm supposed to live stream and then I. And. And sometimes I even forget half the time that I need to be on at the required time. But that's okay. Sometimes I do make that poor decision for it. But but anyway, now of course, uh we are down here. Um do the price per distance. That's medical equipment for 7 hours. Um this one's slightly a little bit worse, but 11-hour trip time, I think I can manage that. Now, of course, I am sitting over here at this rest area because I took a little trip, And that trip took me a little bit. I took a 2-hour trip down here to get some rest, I guess. And the image from that was the farm from down here. We did travel through it before, but anyway. Well, there's some news that I wanted to share with you guys today, mostly pertaining to LGBTQ and trans people today. And Trump is going to be involved in this a little bit with the Epstin files and stuff as well. Mostly just those two things pertaining to what I wanted to talk about anyway, and a few extra things that might come up as we go through our full-on live stream for the day. Um, there are things that I always will tell you that, you know, it's one of those things where if you aren't supportive of the community, um that if you aren't supportive of the community, and you aren't supportive of that, you don't have to be, but I'm just gonna tell you, just to remind people, um, that just because Gavin Newsom is doing what he's doing with Trump, we cannot also forget the things that he has done to the trans community, and when he vetoed a thing and he wants to, you know, take away the ability. Gavin Newsom is somebody that I kind of look up to when he's fighting, but I'd rather look up to my own governor, rather look up to J.B. Pritzker than look up to Gavin Newsom. And I always look up to those two. Um, yeah, okay. Um, and so I look more into paying attention to a lot of um what goes on. Thanks, Thunder, for joining the TikTok live. Thank. Can't say the other part of your name, but thank you. Um, Now, of course, I am one of those people that if you show people that you are willing to care for all people, you're doing a lot better. You're doing things, and you are making better decisions in your life, and that. But um. I didn't see you. Um, but it's one of those things where I don't understand why I don't understand why people don't end up doing it, and why people just want to continue to not have the willingness to learn and to grow. And I'll tell you, the things that a child should be able to get the right to be able to transition, okay? But with a few with some guidance and some helpful understanding, and not just going out there and making a wrong decision. They need to have some guidance and they should have guidance through a therapist through that. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, a child until they're 11, 12 years of age, that they don't receive this care until they're at least don't receive the puberty blockers until then. Give them basically they have to at least um, get therapy until they're 12 years of age or 2 years, whichever comes first. Whichever's actually I should say whichever's greater. So like if that child is 9 years of age, they have to until they're at least 12 years of age, and they can't receive puberty blockers just until they're 12. And then anybody over the age of 12, um, if they want to continue, they continue to have they should continue to have that therapist. But in order to, if you're a teenager, you basically get a year's worth, and if you're an adult, adults should be able to do whatever they want. But if you start your transition, you just have to follow that guidance at that age. Um, and then basically you're allowed to take the hormones at any point um, for it. And then, oh, I forgot to grab gas. Oh well. Um, and then these kids should be able to then, at the age of getting enough to start, then they can start the hormones, as long as they've gone through the proper necessity to make sure that this is what they want and stuff. And it's still reversible. The hormone replacement therapy is more replaceable, more done. Like, yes, if they have to go and gather a little bit of testosterone just for a month or something, just to produce it, to start it, if they transition as a woman, transition to a woman, or transition to the other round. Okay, a non-binary person can exist, letting them have, if they want to experience socially, they let them. I am somebody that if you want to do that, a child should be able to have that right. And it's one of those things where if a non-binary person, they still have to understand that if they want that, they have to still go through therapy. If they want to want to get surgery, they can get the surgery as long as they are 18 without parental consent, for anybody. And if you're 16, you have to have parental consent. That one I am this person that look, that's the one thing that I do want to make sure, because I don't want something to go wrong with a child that ends up regretting it, because there are some people out there who do regret it, and they dog on the trans community because they say, oh well, this shouldn't happen at all to anybody, but it's because they made that wrong decision. Not and most of the time, nine times out of 10, those who do detransition retransition because of, first off, the reason why they do detransition is because of the environment that they're around, family, things that of that nature. That's the real big thing. And a trans person has every right to exist and have those rights, and should have those rights. But if you look at somebody who wants to play sports, let them play sports. As long as they go for the hormone replacement therapy, they should be allowed to play sports. A child should be able to play any sports as long as it's physical or mental, and it's like then if you're not gonna let a person play based on that, regardless, you have to also really think about the chromosomal problems. They want to police the chromosomes and say that women shouldn't be allowed to um, play sports if they have an XY gene, or if they have the XX gene. Basically, you're only allowed to play if you have those genes, and you're only allowed to play as a male if you have an XY. and if you're female, if you have an XX, and you can't go anywhere out of that spectrum. Well, there is a thing um, where there have been multiple places where there are people who have may have 46, actually have 47, and then there are people who have 46 but then grow like a male and are 6 foot because they're 6 foot and they have male um tendencies. Like you can be 6 foot and have the XY chrome and have all the parts and be XY. You can have you can be a female and have all the parts uh, for that XY, but then you also can be a male and have the XX chromosome. So it's and the X chromosome, and there are people out there that have low T that have to get it because they can't, or they have to get um, Viagra or whatever to allow them to have that X, to be able to even be able to produce it all. And it's the same thing that goes with the other side of it. A trans person is going to mostly exist 9 times out of 10 that there are going to be people out there that have both parts and they're considered intersex, and people are going to complain, oh, that they should be put into a bucket because that bucket, they should be put in a male or female, put into a bucket by that standard. They shouldn't be put into a bucket by that standard because God created them. God, like if you think by that standard that you don't want trans people, then you shouldn't also change intersex people either, because by your standard is that God created the person. Guess what? There are so that means you have to also accept that intersex people have to be accepted. And if you aren't going to accept that, then you aren't. It's one of those things and I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you're bi. I don't care if you are left or right. I don't care if you're somebody. As long as you aren't going to willing to show hatred towards anybody, as long as you're not willing to show it, you can be somebody there. But if you are um um and if you are somebody that's a person that believes in the ideology of basically not being able to support those who are needed, those who need help, those who are um who are poor, who are um you're not willing to help the needy either, then you are not also somebody that I also support. And those are the things. Those are the three. There are three things that I will not vote in somebody, and that I will not vote that person in. I will make sure I vote somebody else in response. I will not vote for um, people who dismantle or destroy trans people, LGBTQ people. I do not dismantle. Um, I do not stand with people who choose to not support the poor and the needy. Who do not help, who won't help them. And I also will not support anybody who is willing. Um, And those are the three things that basically do really define me in not voting for you. Um, Taking away immigrants, and also be willing to not release these Epstein files. Basically, if you're somebody that does not want to release them and does not want to and does not release these files because of the issue of what or whatnot, because the issue of not releasing them and saying that and still end up, and it is also the same thing, is that if you are still willing to support Project 2025 in any stance, I will also not vote for you, because um you know, marriage is marriage, or supporting the LGBTQ community, supporting these people, and making sure that everybody has the equal opportunity. Because remember, if you wanna talk about biological and talk about things, women are still gonna be targeted, because they basically are going to be a target. The women have been a target for a long time. Women have been a target because they are, a lot of times, they basically, it's like they were talking about, oh, women didn't have we shouldn't women shouldn't be allowed to have the right to vote. The women, and it's been going on even even to this day. Basically, women have the right to vote today, but they want to yeah, I don't care. We'll follow. We made a mistake. We'll just continue to keep follow. We'll just fix this mistake. Because we have to go to the other way anyway. Um, and fixing the mistakes of many problems. With that they want to make sure that women aren't the that they have women have to listen to their husbands, and always listen to their husbands, and that's something that needs to not be happening, because it doesn't matter if you are um that way. It's like women need to have the support of need to be able to um to actually have the ability to get out, and willing to um in case of violence, in case of problems going on in the home, a woman should be able to have the right to speak their mind when a woman should be able to have the right to speak their mind against the husband in any case. It's also having the ability for women to be equal to their husbands, and not the husband being that way. It's like, yes, there are people that women should have some say in everything, and it shouldn't be, and the man shouldn't be the one to go out and vote, because if that were the case, then I would basically, if I was the case, I said, okay, well then I'm going to find a way to allow my wife to vote. I'm going to continue to allow for anybody should have the right to vote, as long as they're old enough and 18 to understand a lot of what's going on, and it shouldn't, be we shouldn't restrict people in voting. We shouldn't be restricting people's right to vote because of mail-in voting. Trump wants to get rid of mail-in voting. Trump wants to to get rid of it because he says, oh well, that's the whole reason why the Space Force is getting moved because Colorado basically allowed for it to be because of mail-in voting, because they were all mail-in voting, because of all the, and it's like, okay, you end up mail-in voting. There's still going to be people out there that you're still going to complain. You're still going to complain if you lose. Like getting rid of mail-in voting. You're going to complain because all you care about is what I want. But if people start losing, if you start losing people, it's like there are places in this country that were red, that people had voted red for quite some time and now are voting blue, that are changing the way that's being done. And there are places out there that used to be a complete red district and are not red districts anymore. It's like when Texas did the redistricting. They found out, like when I found out about it, is that when they redistrict, there is now 10 districts that could turn blue instead of 5. And those 10 districts that they had done, those 10 districts, well, guess what? They're not brightful thinkers when they look at things that they should be. They want to guarantee to have those 5. Well, they have to also make sure they can guarantee the other 10 districts. They have to make sure that everybody's guaranteed. If they want to guarantee that, they basically screwed that one up. And they screw up a lot of the time. They screw up on the economy. They screw it up every time. You know, and I'm not saying that Democrats don't screw things up either. I'm just saying the vast majority of the time, when I look at it, it's like I see it every time. Since I've been around, you know, there have been times where Democrat, like you look at the last over the course of the last elections and stuff, you look at the Republican Party, you look at Bush, you look at it, and it's like, who got us out of the housing crisis? It wasn't a Republican, it was a Democrat. Who got us out of the crisis of COVID? It wasn't a Republican, it was a Democrat. Who got us now, of course, who got us back on track? A Democrat, not a Republican. Every time, who supported the infrastructure of fixing the Francis Scott Key Bridge was a Democrat. It was every time I hear this saying that that Republicans can do better, but I hear it every time. I hear it every time, but I don't see the action. I don't see it in action. I see it in inaction. When I hear the Democrats talking about the big beautiful bill, you look at it, there are maybe some things good about that bill, but then those good things in that bill do not outweigh the bad things. The bad things outweigh the good in any of these things. And that's what you gotta really make your decision and make your choice. And you have to really think about, yes, you gotta realize that if you don't, like, let me be clear, if you think that something's bad gonna happen to you because you choose, because you don't think, oh, it's not gonna happen to me, oh, it's not gonna happen to me at all, it's just gonna happen to the libs, or it's gonna happen to whatever, that inability to take that position is not a good thing. Because remember, at some point, it may not affect you now, but it will affect you at some point. it may not affect you now because you think that that it, it's like you cannot expect things to always there. It's like yes, you can always pray, you can always um pray about it, but you can't. But if you pray about it, but then don't do action or willing to listen to God and listen to Him, but then also take what God wants when you pray about protecting these children and you don't listen to Him, that decision you're just thinking, you don't make that decision of not acting on those things, you're not really helping. You're not really making that decision, and you're not really making the inaction. You can't just expect God to do everything for you. You cannot just sit back and just listen to me or listen to David Pakman or any of these news agencies and then don't do inaction about it. You know, it's like the No Kings protest. There's another one coming up in October 18th, and those are things that when you do protest and you do these things and you make these things be heard and get your voice out there and making sure that you're getting out to vote and actually getting out there and actually sharing this information and to people, you know, sharing it to family, sharing it to making sure that, you know, the things that happen, that we can process and actually do. It's always a better decision to do things and get things done than just sit back and think that the next thing, oh, it's the next things, it's not going to happen to me, I'm not going to care. You have to care at some point, because you may not happen to you, but it could happen to your neighbor, it could happen to your family outside of just your immediate self. It's going to affect the people at church. It's going to affect those people that are around you. It's not that your coworkers, your friends, your streamers, your people that you watch every day on YouTube and TikTok and all this. It all comes to a point of inability to make that decision, make that problem. To you're not, like, it's not going to affect me because I'm rich. Okay, you may know that you're rich, but at some point, that richness that you think that you're going to that oh you're able to survive. Yes, being able to survive is a good thing, but at some point, if you go out and you buy things and you consistently have the ability to buy things, at some point that thing that you may buy now, that you go to the store, you say, oh well, I'm able to survive now, but what about a year from now? If a year from now we still have those tariffs going on, and that year from now that tariff basically makes it beyond livable, then it's not, then you're doing something, then it's like you're gonna have an inability to survive. If a company has to consistently raise prices and consistently prices every week, then then you're not really actually going to, at some point you will not be able to afford those things, and you will end up having to um and you are not then you are not absolutely being out there, and you will eventually. So it's like you got to think about, if you have family that or friends that may not be able to do something, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be going to be. You cannot expect that it may not happen to you now, but it may happen to you in the future, and you just gotta be more forward thinking. It's like there are some things where there are problems. There are things that are being. Did we have any gas stations nearby? Do we have any gas? We do have a gas station over on the other end, so we'll grab gas on that end. Um. And it's always, you gotta think about that you may not have those issues now, and then they will inevitably rise. It's just like you think that you want to get rid of trans people, and you're a woman, right? You don't want to you want to get rid of trans people because they're harming you. But then when you go and look at it, eventually you're gonna have some man that's gonna come in and complain to you that you're trans and you're this and you're that, and you're going to basically get into the brunt of that decision. And that's going to be you created that problem. You're the one that created it. A trans person isn't necessarily going to go in there and harm your child. If a man wants to go in and harm your child or harm somebody by that standard, a child a child's going to get harmed anyway. There it's there are going to be people that are predators out there looking for these things and taking that opportunity to make that bad decision and make it a problem. You cannot go out there and expect that a trans person is going to be affected and only them. You're wrong. A trans person isn't the only person that's going to be affected. Everybody gets affected in some way, shape, or form. Okay, now where are we headed? Um, okay, so we need to go to Gloucester. But now, why don't I go to Trollberg? Its trip time is 4 hours there. But then if I go to Trollberg, oh, okay, so it's 4 hour trip time that way. Um, it's 5 hour trip, 5 hours and 35 minutes trip time that way. Now, of course, when do we have to get this done? Because I might actually just take the Trollberg, um, hold on, I might have to take the Trollberg thing. Um, remains 17 hours. Um, it's 4 hours trip time. It's 5 hour, 4 hour trip time. I can save myself some gas money by going to Trollberg. Um, and then I come over here and we do that. That's trip time is an extra, you know, we take that, it's 4 hours and 35 minutes, but we go to Trollberg, it's only going to be a little bit less time for it. So let's take, no, no, no. I don't want to cancel. We're going to take this destination. Okay. I think I'm going to take it because we're going to get a little bit more rest and a little bit more time to go. So thanks Slayer BS for joining. It'll allow for us to do that. Okay. Which is actually a good thing. Because this will save me on on gas, and then and we are going to be hitting this up here, and then we can go and get some rest and get some actual some gas, because that's what we're gonna need. We'll probably have plenty of gas to get there. I always forget. Sometimes I always forget the gas thing, because I was like, I usually when I take a trip, I usually will fill up before I take a trip, and I always forget to do that. Um, and thank you guys for joining the TikTok stream and the YouTube streams. Thank you. Um, and it's always one of those things where if you don't understand that just because a trans person loses, you lose in sports. It's like Riley Gaines is like I've said this before, that Riley Gaines is just one of those people that you choose to not learn, to not work to get better because your butt hurt because you didn't get a trophy. And they only have, like, a lot of times, like, sometimes they will run out of of these medals or trophies. Sometimes they run out. Sometimes they sometimes they will run out of these trophies because they don't um sometimes they'll run out of these these trophy these trophies because they only have enough for one person all the time. They have one person who's always going to receive a fifth place trophy. There's always going to be one person receiving sixth place or receiving seventh, or what. They're going to always have one person receiving first, and they're not gonna produce more. So but they're going to say, hey, well, oh, I didn't get my trophy because I didn't get to hold my trophy because, or I didn't get to take my trophy home, and I shouldn't. And it's like, you didn't. You get a trophy. Be happy that you get a trophy, that you're happy that you do get one at all. Because if you don't, it's like, okay, I also understand that that you share the that if you share a trophy, that you share the trophy while you're there, but then they will say, hey, we're gonna give um this person the trophy, and then you will get a trophy as well. We'll just get it to you and send one to you so that you can have one. And making sure that you do, and making sure that it happens. It's like, I've learned over the years of just understanding that you know that I've gotten angry before. I've gotten angry when I don't get first. I don't, and it's like, look, I've learned over the years that it's not worth it to get angry for not getting first or not getting a place. It's just, you gotta learn to, that yes, you might want to get first. Well, then you gotta aim. You gotta work for it. You can't just um go out and get first place and then always get last place. It's like, look, it's like, there are people out there that think that getting first place is like, you get accomplished. You accomplish, like, if you get sixth place or whatever, you get accomplished. There are going to be times where I will like, I have complained once. I only complained once because of a participation, because I got a participation ribbon, and I actually should have gotten a sixth place ribbon. Only because I did follow the rules. It's like, if you follow the rules, you're pretty much, you're good to go. As long as you're doing that. And it's like people are going out and making assumptions on these things. Nobody is absolutely perfect. Nobody is is perfect in any way, shape, or form. And that's what we gotta learn, is that just because this person isn't perfect, nobody is going to be perfect in any way. And I've said this many times, that nobody is. And it's like, but at the same time, if you are going to continue to um okay, so we need to actually go up here. Get some gas. It's always one of those things where you can't just thank JX Sense for joining the TikTok live thing. Thank you. It's like you can't also expect that, you know, but if you're gonna continue to do not make those mistakes that you've made, and fix those mistakes, and willing to do that, instead of doubling down on them, doubling down on making lies, lying to people, like Trump is doing with the Epstin files, not releasing them, not saying that it's all a hoax, and it's like, um, okay, so you're willing to continue to lie and continue to double down or continue to do things. It's in no way, in any way, shape, or form, that you are better than. Now, let's go check our. No, no. Let's go to truck manager. We got 8. Actually, it's. I need to actually go to garage manager. We have a full thing. We have enough money. We are gonna upgrade you. Um. Thanks, Dr. Donut, for joining the TikTok live thing. Thank you. Alright. So now we'll be able to start, um, um, we'll be able to start absolutely getting, I didn't want to say, I wanted to grab the photo mode. Okay. And I'll take a picture, and then we'll go down here to save game. I'll hit live, 9/3/2025. Alright, so that's gonna be it for me today. I could go on for another little bit, but So, anyway, if you guys want to see more content, you guys can hit that like, hit that subscribe. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Trovo, make sure you guys are followed. And also make sure that you guys, if you are followed, make sure that you guys hit that bell notification with the all, so you can, on YouTube, if you do subscribe, make sure you hit that bell notification with the all, so you can stay up to date. If you are subscribed on Trovo, you will get some stuff that you guys can watch. There for past live streams and stuff. If you're on TikTok, you guys can hit that follow as well. And it's great that you guys are doing so. But I only say this at the end. So anyway,